Well, greetings and welcome to Wake Up in the Word. Thank you for joining me today. I've just about finished my cup of coffee, but I am ready to get into Psalm 64 with you today. Psalm 64. It's a beautiful psalm that has an interesting backdrop, and you can almost sense and feel it from the very beginning. I like to subtitle this. It is a Davidic psalm, but I like to subtitle it about warnings about the tongue, warning about the tongue, because the enemies often come at you not necessarily with weapons of warfare that will kill you, not bullets and guns and arrows, but sometimes the greatest weapon is the tongue. It's amazing how such a small thing can make such a big matter. This morning the power was off at our house for a while as repair work was being done on the outside electrical connections. What had caused the problem? Squirrels. Indeed, someone was kidding me earlier about how I have not been feeding my squirrels well enough at the house, and so they started munching on the electrical wires. And those little tiny animals were able to cause such damage that it was making the electricity not work properly in the house. Well, you know, there are other things that very small members of our body, James warns us about this in the New Testament, like the tongue, can cause great damage. In the same way, even one word taken out of place can often cause great damage as well. We'll show you how this works as we first read from Psalm 64. I'll be reading out of the Holman Christian Standard this morning. God, hear my voice when I complain. Now, hold on. You never complain to God, do you? Okay, listen. If you do, don't feel bad. David, a man after God's own heart, complained to the Lord. Listen, don't go and complain and whine to people. People sometimes don't care and don't even want to hear your complaints, but God will take them. God will listen every time. All right, God, hear my voice when I complain. Protect my life from the terror of the enemy. Hide me from the scheming of wicked people, from the mob of evildoers. And what do? Verse 3, who sharpen their tongues like swords and aim bitter words like arrows, shooting from concealed places at the innocent. They shoot at him suddenly and are not afraid. They encourage each other in an evil plan. They talk about hiding traps and say, who will see them? They devise crimes and say, we have perfected a secret plan. The inner man and the heart are mysterious. But God will shoot them with arrows. Suddenly they will be wounded. They will be made to stumble. Their own tongues work against them, and all who see them will shake their heads. Then everyone will fear and will tell about God's work, for they will understand what He has done. The righteous one rejoices in the Lord and takes refuge in Him. All those who are upright in heart will offer praise. Watch out, folks, because publicly there are those whose attack comes from their words. They don't mind lying, scheming, cheating, stealing, misrepresenting, slandering, libeling good people of faith, and they do it all the time. You see it in churches, you see it in governments, you see it publicly, you see it in Hollywood. It is literally everywhere. How do you escape it? Well, sometimes the best thing to do is let the Lord fight your battles and let others look at how ridiculous their claims are and stand up to them. So friends, listen, be careful of your own words. Don't let your reaction to the enemies who act the way that Psalm 64 describes, as David described his enemies, don't let their action cause a reaction from you that's just as bad or even worse. You know, one word can make a great deal of difference. It reminds me of the old story of when Napoleon was trying to conquer Europe, and the forces of Duke Wellington went out to fight him at a place called Waterloo. Everyone in England wanted to know the results of the battle, but back in those days, of course, there was no instant communication like we have today. Instead, people on the coast across the English Channel were using semaphore flags. You know, for those of you who don't know what semaphore means, that's when folks stand and put flags at different angles to get a message across and to spell out words. So with semaphore being messaged across the channel, it could sometimes be misunderstood, especially when one of those famous English fogs rolls in. Well, that's what happened that day. And what the people across the channel saw from the French side were two words: Wellington defeated. Wellington defeated. Those are the only two words they saw. And as that word began to spread across England, folks became depressed. They thought, oh no, the war's going to go on. It's going to be long and drawn out. We'll have to keep fighting. We'll lose many good men in battle. And people were just kind of depressed over it, because a fog rolled in about the time Wellington defeated came across, and then nothing could be seen. Later, however, when the fog lifted, the full message was seen once again. It wasn't that Wellington was defeated. The message was just three words: Wellington defeated Napoleon. What a difference the one word made. And what a difference it made in the life of the country, because then the depression turned into celebration, and the boos into cheers, and all of a sudden the people were happy where they had been sad. Amazing the difference one little word can make. So today I want to encourage you to do this. As you go out and among people, remember our words count. And when there are many words, it's easy to get caught up perhaps in the impulse of the moment and say maybe even the one little word that you'll regret later. The word that might wound, might hurt, and might destroy. Let's not be like those that David described in Psalm 64, who use our words to cut down other people and to destroy them and plan and scheme, but let ours be the words of encouragement and the words that turn people toward worship of the Lord. Well, thank you for joining me today. I hope to see you again right here tomorrow as we do this again. And if you like what we're doing, hit that like button and subscribe so that we can keep these videos coming to YouTube. God bless you. Thank you so much for joining us as we wake up in the Word.